Good Monday morning. I just want to encourage you again, if these musings minister to you, go subscribe so you make sure you get them at reclaiminghearts.org. Last week, we talked about your post, and now I want to talk to you about the battle for your I must. There are a lot of things that we could do in this life, but I think the question we should be asking the Lord is, what must I do in this season? Remembering that there are seasons to life and they change, and sometimes what your I must may be looks different from your I must 10 years later. So last week we talked about knowing our post. Like, what is my post? My post is to be a garter of people's hearts. But the way that looks can vary from season to season. So I have to focus on my I must. In the book of Nehemiah, the Jews are just starting to come back from exile where they've been scattered all over. And Nehemiah hears a word that the wall around Jerusalem is in tatters. It's in ruins. And so he seeks permission from King Ahasuerus and gets permission to go and rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. And so when he gets there, he is perpetually harassed. He's threatened to be harmed by these men that keep coming up to him as he's rebuilding this wall, or they'll send word for him to come, but they always have ill intent. They are a perpetual distraction from his I must. And in chapter 6, verse 2, he sends back this message to them that I just love. And I think about this often when I think about my I must. He says, I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. He knows his I must in that moment, irregardless of all the distractions, is to rebuild that wall. So I pose the question to your heart today: do you know your I musts inside of your post? Years ago, right after Philly and I married, we were at Free Chapel in Gainesville, Georgia, and Pastor Jensen Franklin was preaching a message on I must, which is where this kind of resonated with me and settled on me. And so each year, at the beginning of the year, Philly and I kind of bring before the Lord, what are our I musts for this next season? And the first year that we got married, I had started a Bible study in our city, and I'd been leading it for like 4 or 5 years. It was an interdenominational Bible study, and it was just growing and thriving, and our hearts were connecting as women. And I had just gotten the flyer for the new Bible study that I was going to lead, and I felt the Lord say, "You're to do nothing this next year, but become a student of the hearts of your children." What? I had just become the bonus mom to 5 little fractured hearts. My post is a garter of hearts. And my I must inside of that season was to become a student of these little 5 fractured hearts so I could love them well over what would be a lifetime together. So the freedom in knowing your I must is that when things come to distract you from it, you can look at it, lay it out, and say, does this move inside of the framework of my I must for this season? And anything that doesn't, am I supposed to give it place or prominence inside of my life? And so having and knowing a post and knowing an I must are really freeing things, because it allows our yes to be yes and our no to be no. It lets us have freedom in saying no to things and freedom in saying yes to things. So, what is your I must? And when you know what your I must is, when the distractors come, you can look at them and you can say with assurance, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. If your heart was encouraged today, please know that we have many other resources available for you. You can discover all of those at reclaiminghearts.org.